about you, Joe? What are you nerding out about?
I am nerding out about the Wheel of Time.
Weird. I've never heard that before.
This time, not the books. The new season has started airing, season 3.
Right.
I've watched the first 4 episodes. I don't know if the 5th one is out yet, but I watched the first 4. This season so far has been the best season. The first 2 were rocky, mostly because they decided to have a lot of their own twists on the source material.
Okay.
Some that completely changed the characterization of some of the main characters. So a lot of people were not so happy with some of those early changes, but it feels like they're trying to go back to more of the source material, and even some of the changes that they are making specifically to cut time are more understandable. So like, for instance, it's very clear that they're taking 2 different magical items and merging them into one.
Okay.
And so it's just gonna be like, this item will now double as functionally as what this item also did, type of thing.
That's the kind of thing that would bug me.
It,
I would rather one of the items not even be there than merge them like that. And again, I don't even know because I'm not familiar with the source material that much. But that kind of adaptation kind of drives me a little crazy. Like when they merge characters, make them one conglomerate character because they want to save budget, I guess. I don't know, but
based on how these 2 items are used, it's fine for me. I'm sure other people would not be so happy about it because there is sufficient overlap in what they do that it makes sense. They have a couple of unique uses that are for themselves, but other than that, they have a lot of overlap on how they're used. But we're getting a lot more of the lore, which, having read the books, I already knew about it, but it's interesting to see how they envisioned it for the movie, and I'm liking it. For this season, I feel like they're getting back onto a better path with it.
And you said this was the 3rd season?
This is the 3rd season. I think I want to say I heard a rumor that they were guaranteed a certain number of seasons.
Okay.
Which makes sense that they would be guaranteed at least several seasons based on the fact that it's 15 books long. So
yeah,
you would hope.
If someone's not familiar with the source material, is it worth watching, or do you need to know something?
I think you'll have questions, but in general, I think you'll be fine. They are starting to elaborate more in this season. So in the world of Wheel of Time, there's magic power that men and women can use different parts of that magic power, and how their relationship with it is slightly different, especially for the men, because the male half of the power is tainted. If continued use will drive you crazy. But the way it's described is they're weaving different parts of this power. So like fire, water, air, spirit, the different aspects of it to form a cohesive whole to make it do what they want it to do. And in the first couple of seasons, like every time it shows them using the weaving the power, it was very white and not very colorful and things like that. Whereas in the books, all the different powers have different sources, have different colors associated with them. And they're doing a lot better this season of visually representing that on the screen. But yeah, it is definitely not for the faint of heart. The fight scenes can get very brutal. And then if I remember correctly, in season 1, there's also some bathing scenes. So it's definitely not for a younger audience at all.
Okay.
So yeah, but in general, this season I am liking a lot more than season 1 and 2.
So I'm trying to think of the other. I think it's the Discworld things that I usually conflate this with because I haven't read those either. But isn't Discworld the one with Hogfather or Hogfeather? Hogfather.
I haven't read Discworld, but Discworld, my understanding, just from tidbits here and there, is the one where it's the world turtle with elephants that are holding up the world.
Yep. So that one, there are these groups of stories that aren't necessarily related to each other. It's more of a universe type thing. But there's so many books that it's just like I get into this weird, like, if I'm going to start a series, I want to start at the beginning and work my way through. And I think with Discworld, they have there's a whole bunch of people that say you should read them in this order. Well, you've already lost me. Like, you've already lost me if I have to keep track of the order and the books aren't numbered like 1 through whatever. With the Wheel of Time stuff, is it just like a linear story?
Yes, there is one book that is a prequel.
Okay.
But the prequel is also skippable, in my opinion. It adds some context for 2 of the side characters.
Okay.
But other than that, it's rather skippable, in my opinion. But other than that, no, this is the order, period. I personally read them in release order, so I ended up reading the prequel as the 12th book, I think, or the 11th book, something like that.
Okay.
But yeah, the last 3 books are written by a different author because the original author died, but he wrote it with the original author's team and with the original author's notes.
Well, that was the Brandon Sanderson books, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So Brandon Sanderson wrote them with the blessing of the original author's wife, who he asked his wife to find someone to finish the series. So basically with his blessing.
Right. And by all accounts, did a great job.
Yes.
From everything that I've read. So, yeah. So I have a lot of them electronically. The Wheel of Times ones. I've got ebooks. So I may start in on those.
Yeah. I talked about the books last week. There's some books, I think it's 7, 8, and 9, where the story, the pacing is off. The story doesn't progress very well, and the community often calls it those 3 books the slog, because it can be rough to get through, because these are not short books, and to not feel like the plot is moving forward can be rough.
Yep.
But is that due to just writing style changing, or was that when did the transition from authors happen? Was that deep in the series, or was that way at the end?
So it's 15 books long. It was the last 3 books that were written by a different author.
Okay, so like right there, that chunk in the middle for some reason just feels weird.
Yeah.
With a long series like that, that's kind of understandable.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to get in the head of, like, was it the author just making that choice, or was it like, did he have health issues? Is that why he died? And maybe there were like complications during writing it, or was it just his?
That would have been years before he passed away.
Right, but I didn't know if he like had a like illness that then started declining him.
No, I think it was just that's what he
That's what he chose to do.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it's a very good series. The one thing that I've heard a lot of people struggle with is the number of point of view characters, especially by the end. At the beginning, there's relatively few, but by the end, there's probably, it goes into the final book, probably jumps to 15 different point of views. So
depending on how it's handled, it may not be a big deal.
It's handled pretty well, though. I did mention last week there is one chapter where it goes through every single point of view, and I listened to the audiobook, and that one chapter is a 9-hour chapter. That one chapter.
Wow. Okay.
I've listened to full audiobooks shorter than 9 hours.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah.
So that one chapter, and it jumps between characters a ton, and some of it's like, this is 10 seconds of one character. Like, so in the book, it must have only been a couple of sentences, and then it's jumping to a different character, and because it's in, I mean, not a huge spoiler alert, but it's in the middle of the culmination battle. So it's jumping between what's happening to all the different characters during that time frame.
So he was watching the show 24 at the time of writing.
Something like that, yeah.
Talk about time travel.